Oops. All right, what is up, guys? We have the birds chirping it up in the Mint Hill OG. Listening to the R&B, just cruising down the street in the Malibu. That's a vibe right there. Bang. You can hear that bass thumping. Anyway, today we're going to do an overview of some of the best running shoes on the market. This is the New Balance More V5, one of my favorite max cushion shoes that I've tested recently. But this is a video topic that I've been asked for a lot recently. Can you put together a list of some of the best shoes that you've tested in the first half of the year? Now, this is a newer one that's come in. I think I tested it maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I actually wasn't too impressed with all the max cushion offerings throughout the year. So this is rocketed right up the list for my favorite max cushion shoes. So today, we're going to go over best max cushion shoes, best daily trainers, best race shoes, maybe even throw a trail pick in there. I know you guys don't care about trail shoes based on my West Coast trip, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Best shoes of 2024 through, I think we're almost at 2,700 miles this year. 26 or 2,700 miles. So a lot of running, a lot of shoes. Let's get into it. New Balance More V5 here. As I mentioned, one of the recent max cushion shoes to come in. And the reason why I wanted to pull this guy today, well, first, it's an awesome shoe, but it represents the direction that the market is going. You have a ton of stack and cushion in here, and this is where most running shoes are headed in 2024. More cushion, more comfort, more support. You also get a lot of stability in the back, so a very wide base in the shoe. And then you get a rocker up front. So it has 3 elements that are getting trickled out across the market: the higher stack of foam, the wider base to add more stability and support, and then the rocker to make it easier to roll along. So whereas 5-10 years ago, you might have had lower stack, more minimal shoes in the training market, now a lot of these training shoes are built up and bulky. Not necessarily bulky. I don't know why I used the B word there, but they are a lot of cushion underfoot. And I don't always love that. And I review most everything that drops. And for a long time, I didn't love max cushion shoes, and I still don't always love the feeling of foam. So I'm going to make sure to highlight on this list some good options with a lot of foam, good options without a lot of foam, some in between. Make sure that we get a nice balance. But New Balance More V5, I'm going to bang, I think, about 12 miles in this guy today. Then we can do a deep dive on the shoe, and we'll be back in business and get to the list. So I'll see you guys in a bit. So what makes the More V5 special so far through my testing, and I did a 20-mile double day in it, we'll be at 32 miles after this run, is that it does have a lot of cushion underfoot, but it's bouncy still, and it's easy to run in, and it's fun. And that's not always the case with max cushion shoes. They can be bulky, they can be heavy, they can be clunky, but this is an option that does it really well. And it's interesting because I've been testing the SC Trainer V3 recently, and that one is just not working for me so far. This feels bouncier. This feels more fun to run in than the SC Trainer V3. Which is weird because that's supposed to be the speed training shoe. But this has more of a rocker. It tips me along, and it's just fun.
fun, cushioned, comfortable, basically everything you could ask for in a shoe to lace up every day and get some miles in. All right, we're almost halfway through, 6 miles, and I don't want to be yapping and yammering all morning because we got to get to the 10 best running shoes, but this shoe just works for me. It's a great heel striker shoe. The rocker is awesome. You know, at my size and pace, I'm running probably 7 flat right now. The weight of it does not bother me at all. Yeah, that was a 659. So if you're a heel striker, you want some stability with cushion and fun, man, absolute banger right here. We're gonna have to do a head-to-head with the 860. Whew, all right, see you guys back home. Putting in the work, let's go. 7 flat in the More V5, bang. Hey, pull up in the Bundays. Bunday.
All right, guys. We got, boom, 12 miles, average 7:06 pace, 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 19 seconds in the More V5. And man, we are swimming in it again. I'm going to have to get on top of my hydration today. Yesterday was not great. I was dehydrated all after my second run, and I do think I'm going to do a second run today. But man, More V5. This is a good shoe. This is going up there and definitely the top 10 favorites of the year, and might even go into that conversation of if I could only have one shoe, not one shoe, but three shoes, this might be it. It might be this, one of the lightweight shoes, and then a race shoe. This is a really good shoe. However, so we did 12 miles, about 90 minutes. We did push this to its limit. So the thing that's great about this shoe is, I mean, look at all the cushion. Hold on, let's get the lighting on this guy right and everything. Let's do the More V5 breakdown real quick. A little behind the scenes action. All right, so here we go. What is so great about this shoe is all of this cushion that you get underfoot. Now, I've seen different stack height numbers, but it is tall. I believe it's around 40 or above 40 in the back. I saw one site reported at 44 in the back, 40 in the front. They had it lower initially. Regardless, it is a lot of foam underfoot and a decent amount of foam in the forefoot with this gigantic rocker. And that's the key with this shoe versus a lot of the other shoes like the Triumph, which I did not love, versus even something like the Nike Invincible, which I really liked. This thing has that rocker, man. It has that curve, even versus the Nova Blast, which I'm going to highlight on this list. The difference is this has the curve, and that's what makes it possible for me to throw down a 6:20. I think the last 2 miles of this run, I did a fast finish, were 6:21 and 6:28. I typically don't run that pace in these type of shoes, and just out of the gates here, this was making it feel super easy for me to run 7 flat pace, whereas yesterday, if you watch my SC Trainer V3 video, it was hard for me to even hit, I don't know, it was hard for me to hit 650s in the plated shoe. I was also tired, but I ran 20 miles yesterday, and not on fresh legs today. This shoe is helping me hit some harder paces. So that's what these maximum cushion shoes are great for, making it a little bit easier to run. And the reason why I wanted to spotlight this shoe first, not just because I ran in it, but because it represents my current thinking on the types of shoes that can benefit us runners most. And if you've watched this channel, you've heard me talk about this a lot. So the reason I love running is to get outside and get some miles in, and these shoes make it easier to do that while reducing some of the burden on our body. This is all anecdotal for me right now, by the way. Anecdotally, I can tell you, this shoe makes it easier for me to run an hour. Not just this shoe, but some of the other shoes that are going to be on this list. Higher stack, more cushion, more support with the rocker. If the goal is to run more, to have fun running, and to get the benefits of running, then max cushion shoes are great. And yes, there is a place. Let me just finish the sentence, and then you can correct my grammar. There's a place for lower stack shoes on the market. Not all the shoes that I'm going to highlight are going to be this tall. Oh, yeah, not all the shoes I'm going to highlight are going to be this tall, but man, is it fun to run in a max cushion shoe like this. So this is my pick right now. If you want something protective, supportive, stable, and extremely comfortable. This shoe is disgustingly comfortable. It's not even funny. Charlie says it's like a pillow. I nicknamed this the pillow shoe in Strava, and this is now her favorite shoe to walk in. She has some Ons, she has the high-low, she has, does she have some Hokas? I don't know. She's tried probably 5 or 6. The Topo Atmos. She's tried a bunch of different shoes this year. This is her favorite one for walking and doing mom stuff. She says it adds comfort. I'm not going to say what she said, but if you want comfort, this is the shoe. The downside, though, as I was saying, towards the end of the run, because of the weight, it does make it a little harder to turn over the legs, and I wouldn't typically be running 620 pace in a max cushion shoe, but that is something to note. I wouldn't get this shoe for your one long run shoe, for example, during marathon training. If you are building a rotation, I would use this for recovery miles, for everyday miles, for fun miles. You could even do some tempo runs and fartlicks, just fun workouts, but for true longer runs, 2 hours plus, you're probably going to want something a little bit lighter weight, more streamlined. I will highlight some other options on this list, but for over 2 hours, this probably is not going to be my pick. So with that, guys, I'm going to go shower, get some hydration in, and then we're going to pop back out at some point later today for the rest of the list. By the way, guys, about to untie this shoe, but I did want to let you know the highly requested Hobby Jogger hats are now available for pre-order. This is actually the one with the mist stitch. The other ones, I don't have my clean one out here. It's printed perfectly centered and aligned. It's embroidered. This is one of my favorite hat. Just the, what's it called? The blank is awesome. It's a really nice hat. I've been wearing them all summer, testing them, putting them through the 100-mile weeks, putting them through the 20-mile long runs. You guys have been asking for them. They are now available for pre-order. We're going to ship them out first week of August. They're $30 plus shipping, and I know people are asking me they want to get them in Canada, in the UK. I would love to do that as well, but man, shipping is really expensive. I'm trying to figure out how to do this just in the US first and make it be able to make sense. So please bear with me on the Canada and international. I do want to get that at some point. I'm just trying to figure out how to do this domestically and not lose a ton of money, because I was actually losing money on the first batch of trucker hats when I was sending them out. So we're going to do this profitably in America, and then we'll scale it to all you other guys. I'm not xenophobic. I love all my blokes out there, okay? We're going to get you guys some products soon. All right, pre-order in the description below. I'm going to stop talking before I get canceled. All right, guys, so we are showered, hydrated, ready to go back out here with our next one on the list. If you've been watching the channel, you are not surprised to see this one here. This is the Adidas Adizero SL2, one of my favorites of the year, and this is my pick for a versatile do-it-all shoe. If you want one shoe for any type of run, fast runs, slow runs, workouts, even walking, a fun shoe, a comfortable shoe, it's the SL2. And this has everything that I look for in a daily trainer. So it's designed to be an everyday running shoe. It's got 2 types of foams in here. It's almost like a sausage and a casing type of vibe, or a Twinkie, where the cream filling is the race foam, the Light Strike Pro. And then they tore open that vanilla cake. I don't know how far I can take this Twinkie thing. They tore open that vanilla cake sausage casing outsole of the Twinkie, and you can see, not the outsole, the wrap. It's got a firmer training foam called Light Strike. So that holds the bouncy race foam in place, and the first few runs of this thing were very unstable, but it breaks in, it softens up, not softens up, it whatever the opposite of softens up, not necessarily firms up, but it mellows out a little bit, and it has a little bit more of a stable ride as you get into it. So it's bouncy, it's very soft, and it's just the right amount of cushion. So this is one of those types of shoes where it's not a low stack shoe, but compared to something like the More V5, it is a little bit more natural feeling. So you get more flexibility in this guy. You get a little bit more of a connected ground feel, but you still have some fun and some elements of a modern ride. But let's just compare it. So look at this SL2, and then boom, More V5. So you can see these are very different shoes. And if I were building a rotation, these 2 shoes, or these types of shoes, say you already have something like the Hoka Bondi, that would be the More V5, or the Nike Invincible, that would be the More V5, and then you might want to mix in a lower stack shoe. And studies show that rotating between different types of shoes, and I was talking about this with my guy Matt from Doctors of Running, and he agreed, rotating between different types of shoes is the second best thing we can do to prevent injury. according to Matt, the best thing we could do to prevent injury is going to the gym, which you guys know I got to work on that. But it's all in exercise and prioritization. I actually love going to the gym is the thing. I think people think I don't like lifting. You know what? I'm going to bang out some push-ups right now. It's disrespectful out here. All the way down to... Getting disrespectful out here, man. Put some respect on the grind. SL2, if you want something lightweight, fun, fast, bouncy, everyday miles, do it all type of shoe that's not going to break the bank. This also comes in at $130. This is the cheapest shoe out of anything we're going to highlight today. And by the way, the flies are just outrageous out here. There's just flies landing on my shoes everywhere. I don't know how to stop them. It's the big black flies. They're gross. I don't think there's anything I can do. We're already getting off the rails in the second shoe here. Yeah, to sum it up, I did 440 pace in this. I did recovery pace. Really works well for any type of pace. I do think the runners who are going to enjoy this most are heel strikers because of the higher drop and also just the way that the shoe works. I've had a few people who are forefoot strikers say it's not remarkable for them. I think this is it's going to give you more of that, wow, this is an awesome shoe. I can't believe it's $130. It's going to give you more of that vibe if you're a heel striker. If you're a forefoot striker, you might want something with a little bit more of a rocker. I'll highlight another shoe here in a second that might be a better alternative for you. So SL2, $130, my pick for fun, everyday running shoe, and a do-it-all shoe. Absolute banger. All right, guys, next up here, we have the Asics Nova Blast 4. And by the way, I should mention that this list, and oh my goodness, these flies, it's just painful watching these flies land on, can you see this? There's just flies landing on my shoes. You can't even see this. But all the shoes I'm going to highlight here are ones that I've tested throughout the first half of the year. There's going to be one or two, I think the More V5 and then the one that I'm going to end with. It came into the office recently, but these are ones that I've had around for a few months. So it's Puma DV8 Nitro 3. Anything brand new is not going to be here just because I haven't tested it. And those have the potential to make the year-end roundup. But this is supposed to be throughout the first half of the year running. So Asics Nova Blast 4. This is one that came in, I think, January or February. I put 100 miles on it, and it didn't blow me away initially. It's a shoe that really grew on me because that's the whole vibe of it. You're not getting a ton of bounce. You're not getting this crazy, gonna blow you away, exciting ride. The next shoe we have is a crazy blow you away, exciting ride. What you are getting is a lot of stability, a lot of comfort, and a lot of support. And that really shines with some time on feet. So this is my pick for best marathon training, everyday running shoe. If you want something to increase your mileage, to get out there and be comfortable, it's not going to be too soft, that's not going to be too firm, but that's going to give you enough support for those longer miles, this is it. This is also my pick for best long run shoe. If you're not going to be using a race shoe, I would use the Asics Nova Blast 4 here. So the reason why I love this shoe, again, is because you get all this cushion, but it also comes in at a really light weight. So think about the More V5, which we highlighted. That one was 300 plus grams in my size. This has a similar amount of foam, and it's under 300 grams. It's 280 grams. So really lightweight foam. You get some bounce up front, but it's really all about the cushion and support. And then you do have a nice, comfortable upper here. The one thing is it's not great for summer running. You can get away with it, and as with all these things, man, you're going to be out there for, what, an hour, 90 minutes? You can have some sweaty socks and just go wash them. It's not that big of a deal, but great shoe for marathon training, for long runs. The other downside, grip is not great. That is a key issue of this shoe. So if you're out there in the UK, shout out to all my blokes, you might want to get the trail version of this, the TR, or go for one of the New Balance or Hoka shoes because those have a little bit better grip. But Asics Nova Blast 4, $140, by the way. All my links are in the description below to buy these. Great shoe for marathon training. Now, all right, next up here, we have the Hoka Skyward X. So this thing is a tank. Look at it. It's got a ton of cushion. It's almost up near 50 millimeters in the back. It has 2 different types of foam. So you have a racing foam and a training foam. And then you have the carbon fiber plate. So when I first tried this shoe, I wasn't sure what to expect when I was lacing it up because it is a lot of foam. It is on the heavier side. Hoka isn't necessarily known for making high-performance shoes, but they're changing that narrative over the past year, and they've just been dropping banger after banger after banger. This list is just going to be full of New Balance and Hoka, and as I pulled out all my 10 shoes, I didn't think about brand. I just went in there and started pulling shoes until I stopped liking them. I pulled out the 10 first shoes that I liked. That's how I made this list, and it turned out more than half the list was New Balance and Hoka, because they're just making awesome shoes. I'm not going to pull out trash just because it's from a different brand. So those are clearly my 2 favorite brands right now. And this is probably my favorite shoe of the year to run in. It's not necessarily the best running shoe, but my favorite to run in. If I had to pick one to just go out there and have a fun run, it would be this. You get a crazy amount of bounce. It is very comfortable. It's stable enough from the weight actually, from the width. And they wrap up the sidewalls. Let's take a look at this versus the SL2, which is more of a normal shoe. Look how much taller the top of the Skyward X is. You can't even see it on the camera. Versus the SL2, yeah, it's about an inch taller in the back here. Of course, that's because they flared up the little heel thing, but you can also see where the foam ends on the SL2 versus the Skyward X. You're almost sitting half an inch or an inch taller up here. And then from the side profile, it's even more absurd. It is even more absurd. So there's absolutely no ground feel whatsoever in the Skyward X. It deadens any impact. It makes it extremely easy to run. And for me, it's impossible to have a bad run in this thing. It is just a complete tank. Now, it is one of the heavier shoes that I've tested this year. And for me, at 6'2", 160, and I know I don't hit the gym other than those push-ups I just did, I do have some strength built up in my legs. I did lift for a long time, actually. So the weight doesn't bother me with shoes, really. So if you are lighter on your feet, don't have as much leg strength, you might not love the shoe for longer runs. It might be a little harder for you to turn over the legs. But if you're carrying more weight, if you're putting more force down into the shoe, if you are a more powerful runner, you're going to love this thing. You are going to absolutely love this thing. I've never been able to max out its capability because I've tried running faster in it, and every time it just works well. It gives me that bounce. It gives me that response. It is a very explosive feeling shoe. Again, like the Nova Blast 4, though, not the most breathable upper for the summertime, but I don't know. These things just don't bother me that much. Other than the Puma DV8 Nitro 2, that one kind of, or 3. That upper kind of bothered me for some reason, but absolute heat. Outsole is really good too. Hoka has improved their outsoles a lot, and you can see, I didn't do the durability on the other ones, but you can see we have 100 miles here. Rubber's holding up okay. Not the best, actually. Oh, look at that. Pretty worn down. I can drag the heel pretty hard, though, so, I mean, I think we could get 300 miles out of this. I've had outsoles burn through, and the foam's still holding up great, and I do have to say the foam in this is holding up really well. So I think we'll be able to get this to 300 miles. Let's take a look at the other ones really quickly. Yeah, this is Nova Blast at 100 miles. This outsole is in way better shape. This outsole will definitely get to 300 miles. I have heard, though, that the foam dies before the outsole. Also, the outsole on here has no grip, so it's kind of a moot point. And then SL2, another absolute tank, 100 miles on here, and you can barely even see that it has any wear. So, and the grip on this was solid. I actually haven't had any rainy runs in the SL2. But that was the Skyward X and some other shoes. Should we do a race shoe? Let's do our favorite race shoe. All right, boom. Another one that will not surprise you guys if you've been watching the channel. This is the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. I actually used this one to run a marathon around my neighborhood because I'm a sicko. And I like doing things like that. Also, I think I switched which direction the shoes are going. I usually do left shoe. Now we're doing right shoe. Let's do left shoe. Just complete shenanigans out here. Alright, Endorphin Pro 4. This is Saucony's carbon-plated racer. That's supposed to be a little bit more approachable. They have this and the Endorphin Elite. They just released the Endorphin Elite 2, which I did not buy. They dropped it out of nowhere. Also, it was $300, and I'm trying to be a little bit smarter with my shoe budget. I'll test that. I'll test that whenever I can get my hands on it. But people keep asking me, can you test the Prime X Strong 2?
yes, I'll test it, but it's $300. So the thing is, with the shoe like the Nova Blast, I buy it, and then I know I'm going to get a lot of miles and comparisons. With the Primex Strung 2, I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure if it's a good investment. But Saucony Endorphin Pro 4, I love this thing. It is so easy to run in. The rocker just works perfectly with my stride. If you're going for a sub-3 marathon, or even if you're just going for a PR, if you know what a PR is and that's what you want to do for your next race, the Endorphin Pro 4 is a contender to consider for sure. And the reason why I'm saying PR is because with the shoe like the Nova Blast, let's pull it out again for a second. This is a great marathon shoe if you just want to finish the race, if you're not worried about that personal record, if you're not worried about running a fast race and you just want to go for some time on feet. This is going to be comfortable. It will get you to the finish line in good shape. The Endorphin Pro 4 is a step above that in terms of speed assistance. It's still going to be comfortable from this race foam. This is one of the most comfortable and bouncy race foams out there still. Saucony's completely nailed it with this compound in the last few generations of this shoe, the Endorphin Pro 3 and then the Endorphin Speed 3, just an awesome foam, the Power MPB. But you get a little bit more of an aggressive profile on here, the rocker geometry, than something like the Nova Blast, and the carbon plate is just going to make it easier to turn over the legs in the last hour, 30 minutes of the marathon. Also, grip on this thing is great. And the other thing is, $225, it undercuts the market by 10%. All the other race shoes from mainstream brands are $250 at least $250. So it's comfortable, it's fast, it's easy for me to run any pace in this thing, and that's the difference between this and a lot of the other shoes on the market, especially in this category. The speed training shoes and the race day shoes sometimes punish me, especially as a heel striker, for running slower paces. This does not. I can run my warm-up pace in it, I can run cool downs in it, I can do long runs in it, and it's super comfortable for anything. Now, the one complaint that I've heard is that the heel is narrow, and that is an issue that I had. You can see, even without my foot in this, look at how the upper is hanging off of the side. They did this weird thing with the foam. Let me just pull a random shoe here. Let's see. SL2. So they did the weird thing with the foam here, where it's narrower up at the top than at the bottom. Compared to a shoe like the SL2, it's essentially straight up and down through the whole way. I have no idea why they did this, and they made it so narrow. And they also don't wrap the foam up the sidewalls like you get on the SL2 or like you get on a shoe like the Nova Blast that adds more stability. So if you are an aggressive heel striker and need some extra stability, this might not be for you. This might not be for you. And that's sad for me to say because I love this thing so much. But I'm going to pull out, hold on, let me pull out one alternative for you. Tripping on the Moors. All right, so this is the alternative, the Salomon S-Lab Specter. So this comes with an asterisk because I only have one run on this shoe, but I really enjoyed it. I think I did, 12 or 14 miles. I need to do some more testing for sure. But this shoe is designed for heel strikers. It is literally a heel striker shoe. That's why Salomon designed it. And if you look at the difference in the back over here, look at how much wider this foam is on the Salomon, how they wrap it, and they have the carbon fiber plate coming off out of the midsole to add some extra support. So this one has two different types of foam. You get a lot of this race foam on the top layer and then a little bit of the training foam on the bottom, again, for some more stability. So it's a nice ride. It almost reminds me of a more stable Vaporfly. And if you're landing in the back, you get a ton of the race foam and a lot of the benefit. This is definitely a heel striker shoe. And the reason I feel comfortable pulling it out is because my guy Drew from Wear Testers as well, he put the shoe through the paces and he told me this was one of his favorites and a top pick for bigger runners and heel strikers. So if the Endorphin Pro 4 scares you because of the heel instability and you think you want a little bit more support, and guys, I'm a heel striker as well and I love this shoe. It's just if you're aggressively mashing down and you think you're going to be out there for 4+ hours, you might want to check out the S-Lab Specters. So this is not on the core 10 best list, but nice alternative to the Endorphin Pro 4, which is my race day pick of the year. All right, guys, boom. Let's do another race shoe. So this is the fun and crazy, aggressive race day pick for me. This is the Hoka Cielo X1, and just look at it. There's only 2 inches
of this shoe that are even on the ground right here. The rest of it is hanging off with this super aggressive rocker that just tips you along. Then the back is also hanging up as well. So this uses 2 different types of foams. They're both race foams, but you get a little bit of a softer one up top, a little bit of a firmer one on the bottom, and then the carbon plate. Man, the carbon plate is just crazy in here. That's what gives it the crazy ride, because look at the curve of it up at the front. So this shoe, like the Endorphin Pro 4, makes it very easy to run, but it does have more of an aggressive feel. It's not as good for heel striking. It puts you up on your toes more. It's bouncy, it's fun, it's soft, but it's aggressive but comfortable at the same time. So the foam is comfortable, the ride is comfortable, but the geometry is aggressive. And so the reason why I wanted to pull this one out instead of the Sky Paris, because that had been my pick, that still might be my pick for 10 favorite, and if I had to pick one for shorter distances, but I'm not running short distance races right now. And I think for most runners out there, and that's my frame for these reviews, what is going to work best for most runners and what types of shoes have the most value? Something like the Endorphin Pro 4. You can get that and use it for marathons, 5K, 10K, and everything. You don't need the specialized $250 Sky Paris. And the other thing about the Endorphin Pro 4, hold on. I know we're supposed to be talking about the Cielo X1. But this is great for training as well. And I think it's going to be pretty durable because I got 300 miles out of the last version of this shoe. So the value here is great. That's why I wanted to spotlight this one. And that's why I'm also spotlighting the Cielo X1. The value here, the fun, the use that you can get out of it for training is great. It's an all-around awesome shoe. It's just so fun to run in. It is a little bit on the heavier side for a race shoe, but if you're not going for a sub 240 PR, sub 230 PR, who cares? Who cares about the weight? You're going to get the benefit back from the bounce of the shoe. Think about it this way. Would you run a marathon in a pair of Crocs just because they're lighter weight? No, probably not. So you're getting the benefit of this ridiculous rocker, all of this foam. They actually go above the legal limit of the stack height here. Not that the legal limit matters for us hobby joggers. It's more for pro athletes who are setting records, but they go above the legal limit by some trickeration. That's my favorite word when talking about the shoe. They do the trickeration by putting a fat stack of foam in the midfoot and getting around the rules because they measure in the back here officially. So Cielo X1, if you want a fun, fast, bouncy ride, great for long runs. You can use it as a tempo shoe. You can use it for training. Absolute banger. Please just do not use it to go to Whole Foods if you buy it. That is all I ask you. No Whole Foods straps in the Cielo X1, please. Alright guys, so I don't even know what order I'm doing this in, but we're going back to the world of training. I guess we did some training and then racing. Okay, so this is the justification for the sequencing. Now we're going to talk about, the last one was the high stack racer. This is the one, if you want low stack minimal, you got to have the yin and the yang. So this is the lightweight. This is my lightweight pick of the year. You guys know I'm all about the cushion. I'm all about the stack maximum cush gang 2024. But sometimes it is nice to have a shoe like the SL2 or like the Rebel V4 that gives you a little bit more connection to the ground, that makes you feel the true spirit of running. Just putting one foot in front of the other, getting after it. Sometimes you want to feel a little bit more of that ground, baby. Makes you feel alive. It's like taking a rip out of a Marlboro Red at 2 a.m. outside of Butler and just washing it down with some Bud Heavy. This is the Rebel V4. It's got this fuel cell foam, which is not the bounciest, not the softest, not the most exciting. But in this shoe, with the stack and with the aggressive rocker, look at this, it's just tipping, just sitting here. The foam works really well. It doesn't need a crazy foam for this shoe to work really well because it's more about the lightweight. It's more about the geometry and the curve. It's more about having a design that makes it easier to turn over the legs versus the actual technology of the foam. So I've been testing the SC Trainer V3 recently, and I'm really not blown away by how the foam feels in there, even with the plate. But in this guy, it's perfect. The whole spirit of the shoe is you don't want something crazy. You want to feel a little bit more connected, and it delivers on that really well. It's even a little bit lighter weight and lower than the SL2. I think this is the lightest training shoe I own. Maybe the Topo Cyclone is a little bit lighter than this, but man, the Cyclone, that was just not enough cushion for me. I did one run in it, and I'm not itching to reach for it again because it didn't feel as supportive as I wanted. So this has a decent amount of support. It's in the sweet spot for me if you're doing marathon training, if you're doing higher mileage and you want an alternative option, or even if you're doing everyday runs and you want a lower stack shoe. I really don't think there's a place for barefoot shoes. And by the way, there's this new company, I forget what they're called. They've been spamming me with fake comments about these barefoot shoes. I got trying to delete them all, but gosh, Barefoot Mafia out here spamming, bro. Maximum Kush Gang. Maximum Kush Gang. All right, I don't know where I was going with that. I think what I was trying to say is it's just enough stack to still have a little bit of protection balanced with the ground feel, which is it's a nice option. The technology has come so far so that we can still have a lightweight shoe that gives you 30 millimeters in the heel. And with that being the reality, I'm not sure why you'd want to go much lower unless you're just a masochist. So this is the best lightweight shoe for people who aren't masochists. This is also a great shoe for walking if you want something a little bit lighter weight and lower to the ground. If you want a gym shoe, I did some CrossFit workouts in this. Charlie and I did a modified Murph in this, and I did our 4th of July workout in the Pacer, which is a good shoe. Maybe that will make my year-end list. But yeah, I have 130 miles on it now. I think durability is probably going to be a little bit of a concern. Yeah, look at this. Dang. Yeah, real concern here. We are chewing up the foam out here. So not going to be the most durable, but $140. I think, man, SL2, this has just a few fewer miles. This is more durable, but Rebel V4 is lightweight. It's not a high mileage shoe either. So if you're getting this and you're only going to be running a few times a week or walking, I think you'll be fine. But if you're expecting this to be a durable workhorse tank, it is not going to be that. So with that, let's highlight our workhorse tank of the year, 2024. All right, guys. Boom. I've been waiting to talk about this one. This is my favorite workhorse daily trainer of 2024. It is the 860 V14. It is a sleeper pick. I think I'm the only one who's been hyping it up because it is straight gas. And I'm telling you, I'm highlighting a lot of New Balance and Hoka on this list because they're just dropping gas. They're just dropping gas left and right. We got heat. We got bangers. It's just craziness out of the New Balance and Hoka camps. And they just have good products. So this is the Fresh Foam 860 V14. It's actually a stability shoe. But if you look at it, and if you look at the design of it compared to the Nova Blast, it's not that much different. So you both of these shoes have a higher stack. The Nova Blast a little taller, and wrap the foam up the sidewalls. That's the element of stability that you're getting in the 860. Same exact thing as the Nova Blast. The other thing they did to make it a little bit more stable is they added a plastic plate. So you can see this red line. That's a plastic plate. They call it the stability plane, but I'm not really so sure what's different from that plate than a plate in a speed training shoe or a fun training shoe like the Skyward X. So it has all this tech in here that just makes it a really awesome shoe to run in, stability or not. So it's got a big rocker over here. Look at this. It rolls you right along, but it's not too aggressive, and it's been awesome for any pace that I want to run, but very supportive and very cushioned. So that's the difference between this and the SL2. The SL2 has just enough cushion and support for you to get away with using it as your one shoe, but it's not going to be the one you pull for if you're feeling banged up and want a lot of cushion and support. That would be something like the More V5, right? So if we look at these three together, this would be the spectrum. SL2, lightest weight, lowest to the ground, 860 V14 in the middle, More V5, and then I would even put up the Skyward X like this. This would be the spectrum of the shoes. This is the fastest. Actually, this is not really about fastness right now. This is about support and just bulk right now. So most streamlined SL2, craziest Skyward X. I'm not going to do the whole continuum. Rebel V4 would be over here with the SL2. But the 860 is a good in-between shoe. It's a good do-it-all shoe. I've done a 21 mile long run in it. The foam just, man, look at this. It has a soft squish, but some bounce. and you get a ton of rubber. So that's why I'm giving it the Workhorse title, because this thing is going to go forever. It's got a ton of rubber. It rides so smooth, and it can do everything. And I've actually recommended this to a few people so far who love it. It's a little easier to run in than the New Balance, and that's what so deciding between these two, I'd go 860 if you want something a little bit easier to run in. Nova Blast is going to be the one if you want higher mileage. So 860 V14, complete sleeper. This is a lot better than the 880 from New Balance, and a really nice foam they've done here with the fresh foam. You guys have heard me say this before. I do not like that they use the same foam name for all their different shoes with different foams, but that's just what they do. I don't know. All right, we got 2 more shoes. Let's knock them out. All right, guys, so next up here, we have the Hoka Mach 6. And we have a lot of shoes with overlap on this list. And the way I put it together was just the 10 shoes that I enjoy running in the most. And you might say, have you even tested this thing? Wow, that looks super clean. Is it brand new? Yeah, I actually have 60 or so miles on it, and I've chewed up the foam in the back. The reason I don't have 100 miles on it is because it's a little bit tight on me. In the 10.5, there's some sizing weirdness. I got another pair of these in blue, and they fit about a full half an inch bigger. So a little bit of a sizing weirdness issue going on with the Hokas, but this is the one I would pick if the idea of the SL2 sounded good to you, but you want more of a rocker, you don't care as much about durability. So let's pull this out again. So SL2, awesome shoe if you want some connection to the ground. Awesome shoe if you want something really versatile. Hoka's the same, but a little bit less connection to the ground. You're not going to get as much ground feel. The stack is higher, and it rides just more modern. The rocker in here is crazy. Again, it does put you up on your toes, and it feels more aggressive. It's not as good for relaxed pace, so that's the one downside of the Mach 6. It's not a daily trainer, really. You can use it as a daily trainer, but for me, I'd prefer using this as a fun workout shoe up to probably 90 minutes. So if you're building a rotation, something like Mach 6 with the more V5 and then the Endorphin Pro 4 as your race shoe, bro, absolute gas. This would be a heat rotation right here if I were building something from scratch. Mine might also look like, let's see, something like this. Either of these, they're pretty interchangeable. It's really, do you want more ground feel and do you want more of that support in the back? This is not the most stable shoe. That is the thing. It's a little bit squishy and squirrely, so not great if you have any stability needs, but very fun. The rocker is amazing. The foam is bouncy. It's a training foam, but it rides nearly as well as a lot of the race foams out there. And the shoe it feels, what's the right way to say this? Fleet? It feels fleet of foot. It feels really light, and it's easy to turn over the legs. I put down some 520 or 530 pace miles in this thing, and it just cruises. So not the best for a long time on feet. I'd go for the Nova Blast if that's what you're looking for. Or if you just build a rotation like this, just use the Endorphin Pro 4 for the 90-minute long runs. Use the More V5 for the 90-minute long runs and the Endorphin Pro 4 for the 2-hour runs. But if you're not doing marathon training, if you're training for shorter distances, Mach 6 is a good call. All right, last shoe. All right, guys, last shoe. This is my Wildcard pick, and this is not a shoe that I've tested too much yet, but the reason why I wanted to put it on is because it just needs some spotlight and some shine. This is the Topo Specter 2. It has 100% race foam in the midsole. It's a competitor to shoes like the Super Blast, the Boston 12, the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4. It's in between the Super Blast category, the Skyward X category, and then the Boston 12 Hyperion Max 2 category. And a lot of those shoes that have released this year, at least in the first half of the year, the Speed 4, they just weren't hitting for me. And it's weird, a lot of the plated trainers just came out this summer, so those will probably make my year-end list. But this and the Deviate Nitro 3, I think, are the ones that work best for me. The foam in here is amazing. You do have 100% of the race foam. This is what the Saucony Power MPB and the Triumph should have been. But you get the bounce, you get the pop, but it's also not super squishy and squirrely and unstable. And one of the issues brands typically have with using 100% race foam in the midsole is that they can't stabilize it without the plate. So they firmed this up just enough so that you don't need the plate, but it still has that really fun, fast feeling, and you get the lower drop. So I didn't really highlight the drops of these shoes that much. The Hokas typically have a 5 or 6 millimeter drop. New Balances typically the 880 8 millimeter drop. Rebels 6 millimeter drop. More V5 4 millimeter drop. There you go. 5 millimeter drop in here. It rides really smooth, and once you're putting down some pace, it's a great shoe. So if you want that tempo day shoe, this is it. This is the best tempo shoe, and I don't always love using that word, but that's what it's best for just going out there and running some fast, steady miles. That's really where this thing shines. I think I have 1 or 2 runs in it so far, so it does come with a little bit of an asterisk, but I wanted to just give it some spotlight and shine because these smaller brands don't always get the hype and the love and all that. So stay tuned for the long run review, some comparisons, and all that. We have some good testing to still do on a lot of these tempo and speed plated training shoes and just faster shoes that have come out recently. So Topo Specter 2, this one is going to be a banger. You also get some room. It's funny. It has the platypus vibe from up top, but that gives you some room for your Piggly Wigglies up here. So those are the best shoes. I did want to pull out 3 shoes to stay away from that have just not hit for me and give you alternatives, just because I'm not going to make a separate video. These 3 are the 3 worst shoes of the year. No, that's not the vibe. But 3 shoes that I really, and there's only 3 that I really hope you don't buy. So I'm going to go grab them and give you some alternatives, and then we can close it out. All right, guys, so first up here on the please don't buy this shoe list, unfortunately, is the Nike Pegasus 41. So this is one I tried really hard to like because I liked the last version of the Pegasus. I'm biased toward the Pegasus because I like it. I like what it represents. I like the simplicity. I just like the shoe. It's been going for 40 years, and that's impressive to me that you can stay in the game for that long. But the downside of that, and that's why Nike's getting crushed and slaughtered and obliterated in the stock market, is because they've been in the game for so long. They're not staying on their toes. They're not innovating. They're not adding new technology. And this shoe is a great example of that. The foam was flat. The ride was firm. It was completely uninspiring. And if you've never run in any other shoe, or you're running in something you picked up at Marshall's 6 years ago, yes, it will be fine. If you've only run in Pegasus for the last 10 years, yes, it will be fine. However, if you look at, and I'm not going to readjust it. However, let's do it again. If you look at this whole suite of shoes we have out here, there are so many better options for $25 more V5, for $10 less, the SL2, for, what is that? Same price or $10 more, Nova Blast, for $10 more, 860 V14. And look at these flies. Can you see that? It's just absolute, the whole time we've been filming, there's fly juice all over my favorite shoes. I should have done the 10 worst videos today. Get away! Why don't the flies coming on the Pegasus? This is a fly-worthy shoe. But with all the other options on the market, man, this is not a competitive shoe. And I understand some people just want a Nike. This is not the one I would pick. Nike has some great training shoes. This is not it. It's not bouncy. It doesn't give me much of anything. I ran a straight 100-mile week in this guy because I wanted to honor the legacy. And all I got was anger and annoyance and aggravation. So if you want a great Nike training shoe, boom. Vomero 17. This one came out last year. You can find it under $100. It's soft, it's bouncy, great for heel strikers, absolutely durable tank. I have 200 miles on this guy, and the outsole is in great shape. We got some wear down back here. The top layer of foam is some version of their race compound. You can see they wrap up for good stability. It's an awesome shoe, and you can find it for cheaper than the new Pegasus just because it came out last year. Another good option from the Nike line is the Zoom Structure 25. This is what I think the Pegasus should have been. The foam is supportive. It's comfortable. This is actually their stability shoe, and I like running in stability shoes. And you get a nice little cradle back here. The foam is bouncy. It works a lot better than the Pegasus for some reason. I'm not sure why this shoe is better, and especially for bigger runners, this is a great pick. With the Pegasus, I just felt like I was crushing that thing into the ground. This, I do not get that sensation. It feels a little bit more robust. I also think this colorway is pretty sweet. And then last, of course, we have the Nike Invincible 3. This is also one, if you want a fun shoe to run in from Nike, this is the one I'd pick. You get a huge stack of this Zoom X foam. Very bouncy, very comfortable. Also a great walking shoe. Some people have issues with the tying it in the back. I haven't had any of those issues, but these are the 3 Nike shoes I would pick if you want something. Any of them are going to be more fun options than the Pegasus and just all around better options. And if you want that simple shoe from Nike, man, Vomero or Zoom Structure, if that's why you're going for the Pegasus. Please don't buy the Pegasus. All right, next up on my please do not buy list, you guys saw this one coming. 880 V14. And this is a great example of why words matter, and particularly in marketing. Look, Fresh Foam X 880 V14. Shoes look identical. Fresh Foam X 860 V14. In the first round review of the 860, this guy said, "Why are you comparing the two shoes? One is for overpro nations." Because they look the same, and they're named the same, other than one number. It's confusing to me. That's why I'm comparing them. They're not designed for the same thing, but ironically, the stability shoe is the much better one. So the 880 was like the Pegasus, flat, uninspiring, and a good example of everything that's going wrong in the running shoe market right now. The brands are holding on to these classic shoes like the 880 and the Pegasus, and I understand why. Not everyone wants a high stack crazy shoe. Some people are going to buy the 880 no matter what. I understand that, but if you're coming to this channel, that's because you're looking for guidance on which direction to go. Please don't get the Pegasus or the 880. There's so many better options on the market. This is going to give you way more fun for $10 cheaper. And then if you look at the 860, this is going to give you a little bit more of that traditional ride still, but with some of the modern elements injected into it, like the softer, bouncier foam and the rocker. And that's what really bothered me about the 880. That it's a completely different foam. It is super hard. It is super hard in this. One of the firmest, flattest foams I've run in this year. And then if you look at the 860, you can just see the difference as I'm pushing this in. Way softer. So please don't get the 880. Get the 860. You will be much happier. All right, guys. Last up, oomph. You already know. Saucony Triumph 22. This shoe did not work for me personally, and it is not one that I could recommend just because for the price, $160, there are so many better options out there now. I know a lot of people like it or like the idea of it because it's designed for bigger runners. It's supposed to give you some more protection and support and stability, but Saucony just went way too far with it. The base is super wide. They put leather overlays on the top, making it feel super heavy, and then the padding is just cloying. I'm just getting attacked with padding on the uppers. It's way too much. So it's heavy. I wasn't getting a lot of pop. I felt like I couldn't compress the foam in the right ways, and it just felt like too much shoe on my foot. And then at the same time, it felt like the forefoot cushioning didn't quite work well, and it was a little bit flat. So I think Saucony needs one more rev with this Power Run PB version that they put in here. So this is not the same. Again, you're going to get me riled up. This is not the same Power Run PB that we see on the racing foam. I think this should be illegal. I honestly think this should be illegal because they're using the same technology name, but these are two different compounds. It's disgusting to me. It is absolutely disgusting. New Balance does it with the Fresh Foam. A lot of these brands do it, and it's different. I think Nike does it with the Zoom X too. But the thing is, at least with the New Balance shoes for the most part and the Nike shoes, they're all solid and they all have a similar vibe. The vibe of this is completely different. Actually, the 880 vibe was completely different. But I could not compress it. I couldn't figure out what it was best for. It was just all around a mess. So if you're looking for a higher stack protective shoe for everyday miles, Nova Blast 4 would be a great alternative. If you want 100% of the race foam and you want a soft, bouncy ride, Invincible 3 would be a great alternative. And if you want a replacement for your Saucony Triumph 20 or 21, I actually want to put together a full video. Hold on. I'll get the shoe that I think is the best replacement. Boom. This guy, the Topo Specter 2. It's the most similar feeling to me so far. So I'd get this, the Nova Blast, or the Invincible if you like the idea of the Triumph 22. But man, the execution on it is just not good. I'm hoping they correct for the 23 and don't stick with it. But Saucony is really trying to make a dent in the casual wear market, and it's coming through in all their products and their marketing right now, and it's just not hitting for me. Saucony, please come back This is my plea to you, Saucony. Please come back to us hobby joggers. I spent probably $1,200 on Saucony shoes in 2022. Speed 3, 2 pairs of those, Shift 3, Endorphin Pro 3, Triumph 21. I got Triumph 20. I got Charlie the Triumph 20. I love you, Saucony. I love you, Saucony. This is not it. You're letting me down. You know what you did to us? That's what you did to us with the Triumph 22. So I love you, Saucony. Hopefully we'll see a training shoe from you on the year-end list. I still got to test the Hurricane 24. I'm not too optimistic. But all right, guys. This was a fun one. Thanks for sticking with me, and I'll be back tomorrow. Let's not end on that. Let's end on this. All right. Thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you tomorrow.